Hi, Jeff Nagel, agronomist with Ceres Solutions with your weekly agronomic insights. Well, this week we're going to focus on plant health applications in corn and soybeans. And if you think about what takes conditions for disease to develop, there's three things. You got to have the pathogen present in a field. You've got to have a susceptible host, a crop that might be prone to getting it. And three, you've got to have the right environmental conditions. In the last week or 10 days, we've had a lot of those environmental conditions that are conducive for disease development. I'm in a field now that's pretty typical of what we've been seeing. We got a little bit of gray leaf starting in the lower part of the canopy. If I look at the ear leaf and the three below it, we don't see a lot of gray leaf spot yet. Remember, gray leaf spot and tar spot, they have latent infection, so you may see something in the lower part of the canopy. Infection may have already taken place. You just don't see it for another week, 10 days, maybe 14 days after the infection take place. So we always want to be ahead of getting our fungicides before disease gets too far ahead of us. So when we think about the timing, we like to look at that VTR1, which often occurs about the same time. And then through that R2 growth stages tend to be our typical timing. Now, where we've been dealing with tar spot, we got conditions that are favorable for development of that disease. Starting to see a little bit in the far northern counties of Indiana. We expect to see more as time goes on with these conditions. But that was one that can affect us late and impact yield. So if you're in an area where you've had tar spot and you go into a field right at VTR1 and you're really not seeing much disease pressure from gray leaf spot, well, we can be a little bit more patient and maybe hold off that fungicide application until we're fully about in that R2 or brown silk stage. That'll give us some extended protection later into the season. The other thing, if you got variable fields, and we always run master lock with our fungicide applications because that gets a product deposition on that ear leaf and above. That's where your grain fill, your sugars are going to be to fill the ear for grain fill. And we're going to double biomass in the next 50 to 60 days. So it's important to protect that ear fill, and particularly in today's environment with yield potential, the weather's been conducive for disease development and favorable economics. There should be a good return on investment to plant health applications this year. So when we think about plant health applications in soybeans, we're looking at that R2 to R4 growth stage, R3 being the kind of the ideal timing. And when we look there, we're counting the top 4 nodes that have an open developed trifoliate. So I go up here and count 1, 2, 3, 4 down. Do I have 3/16 of an inch pods here? I do. So I'm at an R3 type growth stage. This is a great time to make a plant health application. You would probably put insecticide in at this point. You can see we already have some feeding activity on these leaves from bean leaf beetle. You'll see stink bugs. Often don't reach an individual threshold at this point, but the complex there, it's good to control it when you're making that application. You can also do a timing of a nutritional, a gainer product, a PGR like a SIN is also a consideration. And of course we run master lock to get deposition because on soybeans, remember the trifoliate at the node, the one above it and one below it count for probably 80–85% of the sugar production that fills those pods. So it's really important to protect those leaves so we get good pod fill and seed set. So visit with your Ceres retail location to learn more details about how to grow stage soybeans and make proper application timings.